This week, we get to know Xena's comical co-star, Ted Raimi.
Anytime you're ready.
We go behind the scenes of Halloween H2O to find out what makes a good horror movie.
Plus, our sci-fi best bets, and commentator Amanda Finch ponders science fiction's love of all things British. You've entered the world of sci-fi entertainment. I'm Chase Masterson.
And I'm Scott Nance. Let's start with the latest sci-fi news. Here's the buzz from the Sci-Fi Wire.
Action!
Tim Burton, the director of Batman, Beetlejuice, and Mars Attacks, is in serious discussions to make a live-action version of The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. The new project will be an adaptation of the Washington Irving horror classic.
And cut!
Johnny Depp, who worked with Burton before on Ed Wood and Edward Scissorhands, is the top contender for the lead role of Ichabod Crane.
Hey, Spidey, how are you?
Good, Stan.
Yeah, look, you see, that's you.
Spider-Man is going back to the drawing boards, literally. Readership has been declining since Spider-Man Comics introduced a pumped-up Peter Parker. So, Marvel Comics will redesign their flagship character beginning this October. Though the reworking will be less drastic than the recent Superman overhaul, expect Peter Parker to be transformed back into a glasses-wearing teen, as in the original books. The fastest ride at California's Disneyland, the new rocket rods in Tomorrowland, have come to a screeching halt. The signature attraction of the redesigned Tomorrowland has been plagued by a series of mechanical problems. Extensive repairs could keep the ride out of commission for up to 5 weeks. Unfortunately, this comes right in the middle of Disneyland's busy summer season. For your daily dose of sci-fi news, check out the online Sci-Fi Wire. Just web surf to www.scifi.com.
With the release of The Avengers only a week away, commentator Amanda Finch has been thinking about the intriguing connection between British accents and science fiction.
There's a lesson to be learned from every sci-fi movie, every TV show. Star Trek taught us the brotherhood among species, Star Wars taught us that good will prevail, and Blake 7 taught us that a milk carton and a bucket of paper mache do not an effects budget make. This summer, my favorite sci-fi TV show, The Avengers, hits the big screen. This time around starring Ralph Fiennes and Uma Thurman as the stylish spies with a lesson of their own to teach. Nothing can stop an English accent.
How now, brown cow?
Carrying nothing more deadly than a black umbrella, Secret Agent John Steed captures supervillains and ladies' hearts alike with his wry wit and flawless sense of style. And his partner, the strong, smart, sexy Mrs. Emma Peel, can match him quick for quick. Science fiction has had a long love affair with the British accent, from Doctor Who to Dr. Bashir. Let's face it, without Patrick Stewart's accent, The Next Generation would be just another show with ray guns, spaceships, and talking tar pits.
The devil is going on.
Okay, he never shoots the bad guys. Okay, it took him 7 seasons to get to first base with Beverly. That's what we expect from the British. We can't help it. Our love of all things British is planted into our fertile imaginations long before we can even read. The hero of the fairy tale is always a handsome prince or a knight in shining armor, not a well-dressed pilgrim or a good-natured cowboy. Why do you think he was the Lone Ranger? It's no wonder Dragonheart fizzled at the box office. Americans can't fight dragons. The accent is also a quick route to perceived intelligence, the Spice Girls notwithstanding. You can get credit for at least 20 extra IQ points if you have a British accent. Don't believe me? Ask yourself. Who reads Shakespeare, Captain Picard or Captain Kirk?
Who can tell?
Who do you think is better educated, Bruce Willis or Kenneth Branagh?
I don't know. I just think that it's...
I rest my case. So, we've got a lot of important lessons to learn from the movies this summer. Zorro teaches us that evil always gets punished. Godzilla emphasizes the dangers of nuclear testing, and the X-Files movie proves that even in the 90s, an actor can expect to get paid half as much for the same amount of work if she's a woman. But besides learning these hard lessons, this summer you can pick up a little polish at the Avengers Finishing School. Trade in your phaser of choice for a royal issue umbrella, brush up on your Shakespeare, and go win the heart of the Princess Bride. And if you bear even a passing resemblance to Carrie Elways, forget the Princess Bride. Call me. I'm Amanda Finch, and God save the Queen.
As box office duds like Phantoms and Deep Rising proved, it's tough to frighten moviegoers today. So here's how the creators of Halloween H2O set out to scare audiences with a 20-year-old concept.
Truth is what makes a good horror film. Truth, the belief that it's really occurring, the belief and trust that that character is somebody that you care about. I don't believe you really care about things if you don't believe it's happening.
Believability starts with a good script. That's what drew actor Adam Arkin into participating in the latest Halloween installment.
It happened on Halloween. You've heard the story.
Who hasn't?
It wasn't just an excuse to rack up a body count, this script. It was a psychological study of Jamie Lee's character, Laurie Strode, and the sort of cumulative effects of the past 20 years of having lived with that sort of trauma in her past, the dysfunction that it's created in her life.
Halloween H2O executive producer Kevin Williamson knows a thing or two about making a good horror film. His script for the film Scream rejuvenated the genre.
These movies are only as good as their villains, and you have to have a strong protagonist and a strong antagonist, and then the rest is execution. And so I really think it lies in who your hero and who your enemy is.
Villains don't come much more menacing than Michael Myers. The masked murderer has become a horror icon and is a major reason for Halloween's scary success.
What sort of unnerved me about it was this face. There's a very sort of childlike, innocent quality to it. It's a bit disturbing because you know that, I mean, it's pure evil underneath there, but these sort of wide eyes and sort of rounded features that make him incredibly eerie.
He's a psychopath, man, and he carries a big freaking knife. I think the fact that he's so awkward looking and also so that stalk that he has is so intimidating, and he's always there. Or never there. You know, you just don't know where he is.
Director Steve Miner cites good acting and music as two important ingredients in fright films. He also believes that these films have to deliver something new.
I think that audiences are much more intelligent than most people give them credit for, and you can't just deliver what's expected, because they know that's coming, and it's, they know it. It's no surprise and not interesting. So you just have to keep trying to find that little twist or that doing things slightly differently to keep entertaining them.
The makers of Halloween H2O feel so strongly they've made a great horror film, they've decided to release it now instead of waiting until Halloween itself. But it's movie audiences who will ultimately decide whether the new Halloween is just a bad trick or a scary treat.
Coming up, Xena's sidekick, Ted Raimi.
Jamie Lee Curtis has some pretty famous parents. Can you name them? Find out if you're right after this. Jamie Lee Curtis's parents are Janet Leigh and Tony Curtis. Of course, we all remember Janet Leigh from the classic film Psycho.
Xena, Warrior Princess, remains the hottest period fantasy show on TV. The show doesn't take itself too seriously, which is one reason for its success. Contributing to the ongoing humor is Xena's comical sidekick, Joxer, played by actor Ted Raimi.
Joxer the mighty, he roams through the countryside, he never needs a place to hide.
If you want a special tryst, he's the man you can't resist. By every measure, he's a prize.
Just check out my shoes.
Just check out his shoes.
Ted Raimi, who plays Xena's good-hearted but incompetent warrior friend, was originally disliked by many of Xena's hardcore followers. Many of the show's fans found Joxer to be silly.
I think the fans have warmed up to me now, but they certainly didn't at first. I mean, there was even a web page devoted to killing Joxer, and in it there was a picture of me, and you could fire these cannons through, my picture. It was kind of scary, but funny.
O'Neill?
Painkiller for the headaches. Come on, not even a needle.
I don't need it. I'm leaving on the launch.
Ted can also be seen as communications officer Timothy O'Neill on the Sci-Fi Channel's SeaQuest DSV. He has fond memories of his time on the show.
I'm not one of these sorts of actors that, you know, they'll say to you, oh, I saw you on SeaQuest. I did that 3 years ago. Haven't you seen anything else I've done? No, actors don't admit to what they have. First of all, I'm very proud of SeaQuest, but even if I wasn't, I wouldn't not admit to have done it.
Yeah.
That's just part of an actor's and any artist's past, you know?
La población de la Tierra le dará bienvenida en paz.
On SeaQuest, you spoke a lot of different languages and a number of different dialects. Would you care to demonstrate?
I cannot speak, for the record, any of those languages, really. In one episode, I spoke to the writer and a friend of mine, David Kemper, who said, hey, you know, you've spoken just about every language. I said, yeah, except maybe Swahili. And then the next episode was Swahili, I had to say, which was you know, it was really, I was going, okay.
I am Joxer the Mighty. I'm the greatest hero that ever was.
Shortly after SeaQuest ceased production in 1995, Ted found himself in New Zealand filming Xena. One of the first scenes shot had Joxer getting beat up by Renee O'Connor's character, Gabrielle.
I got to the set and the director said, Ted, you're gonna stand there. Renee, you'll be over there. And Renee, you'll pummel Ted with a big stick. Roll camera. And action. I said, woo, 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 you know. It was sort of scary, and I, not knowing Renee, it being the first day, I said, excuse me, Ms. O'Connor, are you really going to smack me hard with that stick? She said, oh yeah, but I know what I'm doing.
Oh, God.
Oh, that's a relief.
Hi, Xena. Come to get a laugh at my expense?
Gabrielle told me all about what happened. You did some very brave things.
I can't think of anyone better to play the lovable Joxer. I know the show belongs to Lucy and Renee, but after meeting Ted, I'll be tuning in hoping to get my fix of Joxer the Mighty.
Next up, virtual reality exercise equipment and the fan who helped save Star Trek.
Star Trek had a huge influence on me when I was growing up, but the show almost didn't make it past its second season. Lovers of the original Trek owe a debt of thanks to the woman who helped save the series.
I, in a way, sort of helped create Star Trek fandom as it is today.
With the original Star Trek series premiering on the Sci-Fi Channel next month, Sci-Fi Entertainment wanted to introduce you to a very special fan. She's Bijou Trimble, a familiar face at Trek conventions. From the moment the original Star Trek debuted in 1966, Bijou was hooked. Little did she know she would spend the next few years of her life saving the show from extinction.
When we first saw it, we had, of course, gone through an era of movies that were, there's an ugly alien, let's kill it. And then the few science fiction series that we got was pretty much the same thing. Anything that was non-human was hostile. And here was a show that gave us something about interesting aliens that were intelligent, some of them very caring. It was a wonderful change. And we liked that very much.
At the end of the second season, Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry realized his show was in trouble and turned to the fans for help. With a natural gift for organization, Bijou found herself at the helm of an enterprising task.
My husband and I were some of the original, we're mad as hell and not going to take it anymore people. My original idea was to just let NBC know we were peeved. I had absolutely no idea we were going to generate that much mail. And my husband backed me, bless his heart, and we worked on the basis of ask 10 people to write a letter, who asked 10 people to write a letter, who asked 10, and it worked. It worked wonderfully.
According to Bijou's book on the Good Ship Enterprise, over 1 million letters poured into the network from angry fans. The campaign was a success, and in 1968, Star Trek was renewed for another season.
To be very honest, wish I could have made a little money off of that. You know, I look around, look at the wonderful franchises that Star Trek is now bringing in, an enormous amount of money, and it is a fallacy that the Trimbles became independently wealthy off Star Trek. But I think that's my only real regret. I've made some wonderful friends over the years.
Staying fit can get pretty monotonous when you work out on a stationary bike or stair climber. But I discovered some virtual reality gym equipment that provided a fantasy adventure along with my workout.
When I arrived at the Ritz-Carlton in Pasadena, California, I was still skeptical. The hotel has been trumpeting the fact that its gym is the first in Southern California to have virtual reality exercise equipment. The technology is supposed to make working out fun. This I had to see.
This is a VR bike by Tetrix. Why don't you sit down and give it a try?
Right, okay.
The hotel's fitness supervisor, Jeff Elhami, agreed to be my personal trainer on the futuristic fitness equipment.
What makes this bike different than an ordinary bike is you notice the chair. This is a recumbent bicycle.
Okay.
Built in with surround sound.
Okay.
And it's also a video game. You can see with the seat, you can kind of turn and move in different directions.
Okay.
And what you're doing is you're picking up this ball in order to shoot it into the goal to score points.
The virtual reality bike has a number of different programs, allowing you to choose your workout environment. It might be a lush tropical paradise, the New England countryside, or a snowy ski slope. The stereo speakers supply appropriate sound effects, from birds chirping to crashing waves.
You're on a bobsled at a beautiful Penguin Peak ski resort.
Gorgeous. Oh, wow, and it's cold,
So we have
too.
different So we have different choices to make. We have a ski lift, we have a ski jump, and we have a ski race as well.
Man, that breeze is great.
To immerse you even further in the virtual environment, a pair of fans blow air in your face at varying speeds to match your activity level. But what really gets your mind off the drudgery of pedaling is the game you're playing.
What's going to happen is you could bump into them, you could cut them off and knock them off the road into the ocean, because they're going to try to cut you off and knock you into the ocean as well.
Right.
The computer does whatever it needs to beat you, and you need to do the same. You got to be aggressive.
Research has shown that because of the competitive nature of the games, people exercise longer and harder on VR equipment than on conventional machines. And that held true for me, too.
I'm sweating, and that ain't virtual.
Good job, Chase.
All right, I'm going.
Go ahead and pull back up.
Next, Jeff put me through the paces on the VR stair climber, also made by Tetrix. Like the VR bike, it sells for around $6 grand. In the game I played, I piloted a World War I biplane. The stair climber has an aircraft-style steering yoke, which you push or pull for altitude, and turn to steer.
I'm like the Mad Bomber.
You got him.
Snoopy.
You got him.
Oh, I hate killing.
There's a couple more, and look at all these fires.
Can't I, like, water the crops instead? Look.
Although I lacked the killer instinct needed for aerial warfare, I found both machines to be genuinely fun. And hey, I won a race on the VR bike. But it appears the only pounds I burned in that brutal competition were virtual.
Not bad, huh?
Not bad, not bad.
Virtual winner.
And you burned about 20 calories as well.
20 whole calories, huh? Okay.
On this week's Sci-Fi Best Bets, a movie that isn't for the faint of heart. But if you're into edgy, surrealistic movie making, the new independent release, Pi, might be right up your alley.
1245. Restate my assumptions. 1. Mathematics is the language of nature.
Pi, as in the mathematical symbol, not the dessert, is a science fiction thriller about a brilliant but possibly insane mathematician named Max Cohen.
2. Everything around us can be represented and understood through numbers.
For years, Max has been obsessed with decoding a numerical pattern beneath the ultimate system of ordered chaos, the stock market. But it turns out, Max may actually be on the verge of the most important discovery in history.
The number in my head is the true name of God.
Pursued by an aggressive Wall Street firm and a fanatical Kabbalah sect, Max races to crack the code, all the while struggling against his own descent into madness.
This is insanity, Max.
Or maybe it's genius. I have to get that number.
Hold on, you have to slow down. You're losing it. You have to take a breath.
Shot in high contrast black and white with a pulsing electronic soundtrack, the film is both beautiful and unsettling.
Leave me alone!
Max, come here! Max!
The actors, especially Sean Goulet as Max, are all top-notch. And Darren Aronofsky's direction won him the Dramatic Directing Award at this year's Sundance Film Festival.
3. If you graph the numbers of any system, patterns emerge. Therefore, there are patterns everywhere in nature.
Pi has been playing in limited release in New York and Los Angeles, but it's expanding its run to many other cities this weekend. Watch for it at your local specialty theater. It's certainly worth the search. That's all the sci-fi we have time for today.
But we'll be back in a week with an all-new Sci-Fi Entertainment.